We on? Oh, we're live. Perfect. Oh, I feel like I'm really loud. I'm going to try and talk softly. Awesome. Thanks for the intro, Curtis. And thanks for you just kind of got thrown into the MC spot last minute there. So thanks for coming up and knocking that one out of the park. Except for my name, which I'm going to be very upset about that later, but we'll have a chat. Thanks everyone for coming out. I really appreciate, like honestly, I know everyone in this room, you know, business people, entrepreneurs, you guys are all very busy. So it really means a lot to me and the team when you guys make it out to these events. So I really appreciate you guys being here. 15 minutes, but it felt like 4 hours. It was painful to meet with me. No, but it was, again, I really appreciate you being here. Your story was so interesting to me, and that's kind of where, like, I want to start with the history because, like, first of all, you weren't even born here. You weren't born and raised in Canada. So I'm gonna screw it up if I say it. So where were you born?
I was born in a place called Drogheda, which is about halfway between Belfast and Dublin. But I was raised in a small town called Carlingford, which is an absolutely gorgeous place. If you ever come to my office to buy insurance, you'll see a big picture of Carlingford.
Quick plug.
A shameless plug for my business. So if you want, you can't come in and look at the picture without buying insurance, by the way. You have to come in and buy insurance.
That's how you do it.
Yeah, exactly. But I came to Canada. This will get a lot of boos in the office, but Pierre Trudeau was one of the reasons I came to Canada.
Ooh.
Yes.
Silence in the room. Darla just went.
Yeah. So being a young guy in Ireland, Pierre Trudeau was a rock star because he was very different than traditional politicians.
Very much so.
And I figured that if all Canadians are like Pierre Trudeau, I want to come to Canada. And I came and I was sorely disappointed.
Yeah, that's very different.
Especially I went to Thunder Bay, Ontario, which is the first place I went to. And Thunder Bay, Ontario is nothing like Pierre Trudeau.
Yeah, no, that doesn't sound... I've never been, personally, but you obviously have.
Lumberjacks, and that's it.
Yeah, button-up shirts. What was I going to say? You're going too fast, because I want to bring it back a little bit. Because, so you were born... how many siblings did you have?
Well, there was 8 of us all together, and we adopted one as well, so it was 9 of us all together, and then my mum and dad.
Wow.
And, yeah.
And so, did you get beat up a lot, like when you were younger, or like I have 2, and that's too many siblings for me.
Yeah.
Right?
By the priest, but that's a whole different story.
That Irish Catholic.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was completely different. It was. No, it wasn't bad. It was good. We get on with my brothers and sisters, or we still get on very well. I go home.
That's awesome.
I try and get home. When I came to Canada first, I didn't go home for a long time, but now I try to get home at least once a year, especially to visit my mom. She's getting older. So that's
awesome.
about it.
And it's a beautiful place. I've seen that photo in your office.
It is a gorgeous place.
I wanted to even talk a little bit. So, like, how did the origin of opening an insurance? So, like, were you a young, passionate insurance? Like, were you always passionate as an 11-year-old about insurance, or
how
did it come about? Like, were you selling them policies when you were young?
So, I've always wanted to own my own business. I've always wanted to be, and I've always had my eye on a number of different businesses. One of the first entrepreneurs that I ever knew was a guy called Kevin Woods, and he still lives in Carlingford. He was a cigarette salesperson for a company called PJ Carroll's, drove a nice car, slicked back hair, looked a little bit like Elvis, looked like the fat Elvis, not the skinny Elvis. And I admired him, and I thought, you know, that's what I want to be. I want to be in sales, so I've always wanted to be in sales. And I was distracted by a number of different things. Mind you, at that time, when I was thinking about getting into sales, I was actually supposed to be becoming a priest.
Wow.
So that was a big change to go from...
Wait, yeah, that's... Whoa.
Selling
I want to talk about
things.
that. You just, like, skipped over that really quick. Does that like a family thing? Like,
That's a family thing.
Yeah, you're just going to be a priest
Irish
now.
traditional thing. Oldest son gets the farm, second son gets the... becomes a priest, and the rest of the children go on welfare. So that was basically...
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So that was your path. You were going to do that. And then you saw cool fat Elvis smoking a cigarette.
Selling cigarettes, yeah.
And you were like,
driving a car.
Priest or that? And you were like, I want that.
I want that.
So then what happened?
I started smoking.
That's the next logical step, yeah.
I went to college, and I was very excited about coming to Canada. I came to Canada when I was 20 years old. Felt like I landed in the middle of a movie scene. It was just so different.
So how'd you get here? Sorry, again, like...
Airplane, Air Canada. Just, yeah. I went through immigration, you know, and actually an interesting story about coming to Canada. It's a point system, so you have to be able to speak English, being married, so I got married at 19. So it was one of my many mistakes in life.
Because you know what you want in life when you're 19.
Exactly, yes. My dad told me on my wedding day that it wasn't too late to change my mind. So that was my
good advice.
yeah.
Yeah.
He was very disappointed that I got married at such a young age because it wasn't necessary. But I wanted to come to Canada, and that helped. But when I was being interviewed at the Canadian consulate, I didn't have enough points to come to Canada, and I had a diploma in electronic engineering, and that got 0 points because I didn't really know what that was. So he changed my application to come to Canada to me fixing cash registers. And if you fixed cash registers, you got maximum points. So that put us in. So a very generous person in Dublin helped me get into Canada. And if it wasn't for him, I'd more than likely be a drunk in Dublin singing ballads. Or something like that.
That also sounds like a dream.
Yeah, it's a good.
I don't know. Some people in the room that probably wish they could do that for a living. So okay, so you do that. You kind of trick the system, and you land. You're like, I want to go to Thunder Bay, or does it just like you go there?
No, one part of him was smart. The other part wasn't that smart because he said, I had to pick some places. I wanted to go to either Ottawa, London, or Calgary, and he says, "Oh, go to Thunder Bay. It's right in the middle."
What?
So. Back in those days, we had Greyhound buses, and you could get in the bus and go. But no, and I guess he didn't know Canadian geography.
Yeah,
more than
I was like,
did,
clearly not very well.
So I stayed there for a while, and then I went to Winnipeg, worked in Winnipeg for a bit, and then from Winnipeg I went to Swift Current to Saskatoon, Saskatoon to Toronto, Toronto back to Saskatoon.
Wow.
And Saskatoon because this is where I wanted to raise my children.
You wanted to raise your children here?
Yeah.
Wait, why is that, if you don't mind me asking?
You know, Toronto was great. It's a great city. Winnipeg is a good city. I love the river. I love Saskatoon. I complain about the winters every so often, but it's still an amazing place to be.
That's part of being a Saskatoonian, is you say you love the river and you complain about the winter. So you've already made it. You're already there, man. You're already part of the...
And I met my lovely wife, Lisa, in Saskatoon.
That was way too late on the list.
I know.
She's sitting there like...
Yeah.
And also, you skipped over a lot because, again, we did meet... Like, I cheated. I met him last week, so I know some stuff. And you skipped over a lot because, like, so while you're doing all this, you're married and you have kids?
3 kids.
You had 3 kids?
Yeah.
And then... what are you doing for work at this point?
I was a service technician with Pitney Bowes, but they used to have awards for the person who could sell the most service contracts or the most sales leads, and every year I would win that. So eventually I decided, okay, I have to be a salesperson for Pitney Bowes. And at the same time as I decided to become a salesperson with Pitney Bowes, they offered me a service management position. So I took the management position because I had a wife and young kids, and I came to Saskatoon in that position. Wow. And eventually I became a sales manager with Pitney Bowes, so I ran the sales office in Saskatoon and in Regina as well.
Wow.
But I've always been attracted to sales, and I'm a very, very strong believer in that nothing happens in society or in this world without salespeople. We are the backbone of any economy, and there's one of the presidents in the United States talked about during the American Depression, and he talked about the fact that, you know, taxation and jobs programs and everything else, and he says, give me 100 salespeople and I'll fix the economy, and I believe that strongly.
Being a salesperson, that's right. Give it up for salespeople. Yes. Usually salespeople get hated on a lot, so I feel like this is our day.
We do, but we're tough.
Yeah, exactly. Let's drink this up a little bit and bask in the glory. But I also know, again, like you're being so humble about it, because while you're doing this, you're moving around a lot. You're also a single dad of 3 kids, right? Like, so you're providing for 3 kids, which, like, I can't even take care of myself. I'm lucky I got dressed today.
I don't know if anybody here would remember a guy called Kevin Hunter who used to live in Saskatoon, but he was the branch manager with Mutual Life of Canada, and I played soccer with him. And I was in the dressing room with him one day, and there's a story that goes around that the 2 of us were sitting around in our underwear talking about soccer, which I can't remember, but maybe we were. But we were... I was complaining about the fact that my job was very much 9 to 5, plus I was looking after an office in Regina as well. So I had a lot of travel, and Lisa used to help me out an awful lot because there was times where I get stuck in Regina and couldn't get back home, and I was a single parent of 3 kids. And he says, well, if you want flexibility and you want an opportunity to make a better income and have more control, come and join Mutual Life of Canada. And I said, I can't sell life insurance. I don't have the qualifications. I was off the opinion that I needed a degree in commerce or something in order to be able to sell life insurance. And he says, no, don't worry about it. Went through the interview process, did the exams, studied for the exams, passed, and then I started work with Mutual Life of Canada. And I can't remember, a couple of months after I started with a Mutual Life, they made me a recruiting manager because, as you might have noticed, once I start talking, I don't stop.
Yeah, it makes my job really easy. This is great.
So, I became a recruiting manager, and I spent 9 years doing that until it almost broke me, because recruiting is a very, very hard job. And then I had an opportunity to buy my office, which was 12 years ago, and I've lived happily ever after.
There's the story. And you're also, again, you're skipping over something that when we sat down, I thought was crazy, because you went from a salaried plus commission job at Pitney Bowes, right? So you're like doing pretty good, pretty comfortable there. But then you went full commission into the other thing, right? So you left all sorts of like security, and it's not even just for yourself, but for your 3 kids.
Yeah.
So you obviously had you had the confidence in your ability that you were going to produce.
I don't believe I can fail, and if I do fail, I just pick myself up and go and do something else that I can do. And, even if somebody was to come tomorrow and say, okay, this is not your business anymore, get the hell out of here, I'd find something else that I could do and be successful at and talk my way through it so that I could convince people that I was
qualified,
yeah.
Exactly. That's what I do every day.
Yeah.
That's how I got this position. I have no idea why I'm here.
Yeah. No, I didn't think that it was a risk. I didn't look at it as being something that I wouldn't be successful at. And again, I go back to Lisa. Lisa was very supportive of what it was that we were doing. And, we had questions. Okay, you're leaving a job, you're getting a salary, you've got benefits, you've got all sorts of different things, And I'll tell you a story. When I started with Sun Life on straight commission, I remember this, but my smallest check was 23 cents.
Oh, man.
So I got a check, and back in those days, it wasn't direct deposit. It was a check, and I got a check, and it was 23 cents. And it was just a bad month. And I just figured, that's a bad month. Next month will be better.
Yeah, see, that's what I mean. When I talk to you, I feel like you process risk differently than most. And I feel like that's something as entrepreneurs and business people that's just so important. So can you give, I don't know, other than blind trust, I guess, can you give some tips as far as, I feel like we need to take more risks more often in our business, and we don't, I feel like. So how can we do that?
Well, I honestly believe that I only have one talent. Lisa would say I've got 2, but I would say I've got 1.
Do I even want to know what the second one is?
Dishes. I'm good at doing dishes.
Oh, perfect. I was like,
I can
is this an
stack the
after-hours
dishwasher.
thing? I don't know.
I'm good at stacking the dishwasher. I work hard. That's it. Anybody who's in sales will tell you that selling is an activity game. I loved my experience at Pitney Bowes because Pitney Bowes taught me that it's activity. And there was some amazing guys that worked with Pitney Bowes, Blaine Arnold, Shane Giltner, there's a few other guys that worked there. And it's activity, just numbers, work, work, work. If you have to do 100 calls to make 1 sale and you need 2 sales,
200 calls.
200 calls, that's it. And the better you get at, and you find salespeople who, once they get to a level of production that meets their results, and what to do is to back off the production. Well, you keep up the production. You just keep on working. You carry over your losses, but you don't take credit for your successes. And what I mean by that is that if you make 5 sales and you only need to make 2, the next month you still have to make 5. But if you only made 2, the next month you have to make 7 because you have to catch up with what it is that you lost. And what I got from my mum and my dad is that they work hard. Both my parents were hard workers. Neither of them were entrepreneurs. Neither of them were interested in owning their own business. Yeah, and my mum still doesn't believe that I own my own business. She still thinks, you're making it up. Just
you work for somebody.
Yeah.
Stop making these fake banners with your name on them.
Yeah, exactly. That's not your business card. That's somebody else's. Yeah.
That's awesome.
But
That's
hard work. If you want to know what it is, it's hard work. Activity. And Cliff, where are you, Cliff? Cliff is about as talented as I am. He's there somewhere. There he is. Oh, and he would agree. It's hard work. That's it. You just work hard.
Yeah.
And you keep on working hard, and that's what you do.
That's awesome. And so I want to kind of zero in a little bit more on, like, I just found that fascinating, your history. You kept trying to skip over it, so I was dialing in on it. But now, so fast forward, now you're in Saskatoon, and you've been doing O'Reilly Insurance for, you said 12 years.
Yeah.
And so I always like to, again, try and give something to the audience. So can you give us an example of like, one of the biggest challenges that you kind of ran into and how you beat it?
Well, it wasn't always easy. And when you go from corporate Canada into running your own business, nobody tells you how difficult it is to manage your cash flow. And nobody tells you how difficult it is to manage people. And also nobody tells you how difficult it is to give up responsibility from doing the things that you're comfortable and feel good about, and handing that responsibility over to somebody else. So some of those things are very, very difficult. But 3 years into owning the business, I was ready to quit. December of 2010, myself and Lisa were parked outside the bank, taking money out of one account to put it into another account to cover payroll.
Wow. And you're taking out of personal expenses.
Taking out of personal expenses to our line of credit was tapped out, our credit cards are stretched to the limit, and you take money out at 10 minutes to midnight, and then you'd sit and wait until 10 minutes after midnight, and you could take more money out, and then you drive across town and go to the credit union and put the money in so you could cover payroll.
Crazy.
But it only ever happened once. After that, we said, okay. One of the other things I do is I don't worry so much about managing the bottom line, although that is important. I'm more focused on growing the top line, because if you grow the top line, you'll do everything you need to do to be successful, and look after the bottom line, but be careful with it. But growing the top line is more important than managing the bottom line. Okay. But yeah, so
that's crazy. Yeah, what an amazing story. That's like something of a movie. You should maybe write a book or something.
No.
You're like, it's coming from priest to business owner. Like, from Declan O'Reilly. I don't know. Just think about it. What about? So I know some of the challenges that you've faced, and we've talked a lot about them. But what about the wins? So like, there's the midnight taking money out to put it into to pay payroll. But what about, like, is there something that you and Lisa were like, oh my gosh, this happened. Like, we made it.
When I took over the office in Saskatoon 12 years ago, there's 23 cooperators offices in Saskatchewan. We were ranked 22nd. So we were the second smallest office. The only office smaller than our office was Carlisle, Saskatchewan. And now we're the third largest office in Saskatchewan. So over 12 years, we've had considerable growth. We're actually we're the largest single location office. Like, we only have one location in Saskatchewan. Now, that's hard work, and it's just a matter of, identifying all the key things that are important to grow the business. So we have a report, and it's called Key Indicator Report, and every month I would look at it, and I'd pick one target and say, okay, that's what we're going to focus on. Yeah. And we'd focus on that blindly, and until we were the #1 in the province on that. And we keep on doing that. But there's other successes as well. Like, I had 4 part-time people working for me when I started, just 4 part-time. We now have 8 full-time people. Wow. And we have a great team. We have an amazing team. I would specifically, a lot of talk about millennials. Some of the young people that I have working for me, you can't get better. Rihanna, Sarah, New, they're 3 of the young people that are working for me. They're brilliant. I have some older guys as well, like Tony, Jennifer, and Gordon are amazing as well. Right. But I'm very, very confident in the future of Canada when I see the abilities and the capabilities of the young people that are working for me. Wow. So.
That's awesome. As a millennial, we usually get down talk, so I appreciate that because it's usually the exact.
They're not all good.
We like avocado toast and beanbag chairs.
Yeah, I
it's
know,
typically
yes.
what people think.
Yeah.
I like to ask again like specific questions. I usually design a couple to try and give as much to the audience as possible. So one I like to ask to all the guests that I have is can you give me a time or an example in your business where you saved money by using innovative thinking and out of the box thinking, and you can say that you took money out of your personal account and paid payroll with it. So any way that you save the money for the business.
Well, just embracing technology. Like we have and we do in our office embrace technology in a way that other cooperators' offices haven't. We've created specialization. We've provided support for the specialists in our office. But if you go back even 6 years ago and look at how we used to write business, the manual processes that we used to have, and I'd have people walking around my office with 10 files. In order to do a simple change in a policy, it might take 5 days from the time you start to the end. And we've embraced the technology in a way that other offices haven't embraced it, and that's helped us an awful lot. It's helped me because it makes my staff a lot more productive, but it also makes them a little bit more, I think, happy in their job as well, because it's not as much of a drudgery. You can get stuff done an awful lot quicker.
Yeah.
For some of us older people, the technology is sometimes, like I watch my office manager now, and she's with her cut and paste and blah, 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 and does this and does this, and I get dizzy. It's like, it's psychedelic.
This is stressing me out.
Yeah. And, but yeah, just embracing the technology.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But being an independent insurance office in Saskatchewan has its huge challenges. Like we compete against SGI every day. That would be the biggest challenge that we have. And if there's any politicians in the room, please get rid of SGI. But
I don't know if we got any here.
But that's a big challenge. Like we're a very small, independently owned office, and we compete against SGI every day, and that's a lot of work. And I think we do a great job at doing it.
Yeah,
so.
For sure. And so, what about role models? Like, do you have like you said, embracing technology is something that's important. Like, is there someone that showed you that? Did you learn that the hard way? Do you have a role model, or not really?
I don't have one particular role model. I just steal bits and pieces from everybody, because I do think that you learn a lot from terrible role models, because you learn what not to do.
Like Pierre Giroux? Oh, I'm just kidding. I had to throw it in there. I'm sorry. I should have said that. Just kidding, everybody.
So, yeah, I have a number. Like, I love, like the conversation that you and I had.
Yeah.
I got more out of that conversation than you did, because I do like talking to young professionals. I do like talking to people who are in sales. One of my favorite questions is to people in this, why did you get into sales? Like, what is it? And I steal ideas all the time. My staff think I've got multiple personalities, because one day it's one plan, next day it's another plan.
Yeah.
But I'm very quick to drop things that don't work, but get very excited very easily about things that I think are very exciting. So I will, I sit and go for lunch with a lot of different people, and I like to listen to what it doesn't sound like I like to listen much, but I actually do.
I love listening to your accent. I could sit there and listen. You could read me like a book or something for hours. No. It's like so majestic. It's like my voice is just like a boring white guy.
Is this a date?
What's that?
Are we on a date?
We are on a date. It's just the only difference is I'm the only one drinking, and there's a bunch of people in the room. But I mean,
no different than my.
If you want to buy me dinner after, I'm in, man. I'm totally in.
Yeah.
No, that's awesome. Again, I appreciate you sharing that. And so, like, basically, you don't have a role model. You just steal from everybody, just to make sure. Okay, perfect. Coming on to my next, again, like specific question, I guess, is like, it sounds like you do have a lot going on, so to speak, up there. Like you're quick to grab onto something that works and quick to drop something that's not. So with all that going on and with running a business for 12 years, how do you stay focused on what's best for your business? Like, how can entrepreneurs here actually be like, hey, I'm doing all this stuff, but like, how do I keep the train on the tracks?
Well, we're in the insurance business, and we're a very, very tightly regulated industry. So we are, when we have a philosophy, and the philosophy is that the customer is not always right. And in our business, the customer cannot be always right or we go bankrupt. But customers always deserve to be treated right. So customers have to be treated with dignity, respect. They have to be listened to. They have to be acknowledged. That's really important. So the customer, and it's a little bit cliche to say it, but the customer is king. And anytime we make a decision about anything in our business, we have to be focused on what's in the best interest of the customer, and we're doing it not just for what's in the best interest today, but what's in the best interest of for the customer in our future relationship with them. And I also know that there's no point in having a business if you're going to fail. You have to be successful, because if you're successful, you'll still be around. And nobody wants to do business with somebody who's not going to be around in the next couple of years. So my intention is that O'Reilly Insurance is going to be here for the next 50 years, maybe beyond that. I may not be here, but O'Reilly Insurance will be here. And, everybody in our office works hard. Everybody is customer focused. We try and do the right thing all the time, and we want to be successful,
Yeah, that's an amazing. Again, that's obviously why you went from 22nd to third in the rankings. There, it doesn't surprise me at all. And then the last question I have before I open it up for the Q&A for the audience is there anything is there anything new as far as, I remember you were a plan guy. I remember we chatted a lot. Yeah. It sounds like you're definitely a plan guy. But what's new and up and coming for your business? Is there anything you can talk about that's kind of like hot, new in the kitchen type of thing for?
Yes and no. We still are going to grow our business. Like, we have plans to grow our business. I am a plan person. I don't like big 40-page business plans. I have a one-page business plan that I keep on my desk. I know where I want to be at the end of this year. I know where I want to be at the end of 5 years. And I know where I want to be at the end of 10 years. I'm 58 years old, so the question that comes up quite often, well, so when are you going to retire? I have no plans on retiring. My dad worked up until basically the day he died. When he finished his job where he was working, he became a part-time undertaker for a couple of years. He did all sorts of different work, so it's in my blood not to keep going and keep going. I'm going to change what I'm doing. I won't necessarily keep doing it the same way. When you are a business owner, there's two things that you can get. You can get money and time, and sometimes a combination of both. One of the things I want to do is I want to do a little bit more travel. I love going to a new country and arrive in a new airport that I've never been in before and try and figure out how do I get to the rental car station, because that's exciting.
That's always an adventure,
That's the whole holiday. Once I do that, okay, let's go home. We found a rental car.
Yeah, exactly. Perfect. Even standing in line, too, you love it. You're just jacked. Like,
no, I hate standing in line.
Oh, yeah? You don't seem like a line guy,
No,
personally.
I hate standing in line. I hate waiting on somebody else to do something for me. I like to be in. So myself and Lisa go to the airport at different times because she likes to show up at the last minute. I like to be in, have my Starbucks, get ready, be relaxed.
Be prepared.
I want nobody in front of me.
Yeah.
So
I'm kind of the same. Well, Declan, I really appreciate you, man, coming in and sharing a lot. I'm going to open you up to the Wolves here. I think we have a microphone in the crowd. Do we have? Oh, boom right away. There's a question over there.
Mine isn't so much of a question as just as a compliment to Declan, the type of guy he is. Him and I are both in the same industry, but we're competitors, but we're pals. And I just have the utmost respect for how I know he values his team, how he makes a difference in the community, and the family man he is, and the service and the brand that his company has. So hats off, Declan.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Cliff.
That was really nice. Oh, Curtis, just turn around, buddy. It's just keep your head in a swivel.
Those insurance guys, hey, they're just stop talking. Actually, Declan was the reason. He's the one that got me into the industry to start with. So, and it took him 5 years to convince me that I was going down the wrong path. So anyway, and maybe I still am. I don't know. But I know you talked. It's hard to have the right team and have the right culture. So what do you think is key to attract the right employees and keep the right employees?
You're assuming I'm keeping them. I read a book once that managing people is like herding cats. And it is. It's very much like, it's a difficult part of the business. I think with your employees, you have to treat them the same way as you would treat your clients with dignity and respect and listen to them and stuff like that. My employees would more than likely describe me as being soft. And the reason that I would say that is because I try and accommodate them as much. Like, we have a rule in our office. Family time is really important, but vacation time is also very important. And I will bend over backwards to accommodate my staff's vacation time. I won't give them an extra day, but we work hard. I won't sit down and say, well, you can't go on holidays. If somebody says we want to do this for a vacation with my husband or with my wife, we'll bend over backwards to accommodate it, to the point where I'll go to other staff and say, we need to do this, we need to let them go, and it's important. And it's the same for everybody. And just creating, people make mistakes. I would never punish anybody for making a mistake. Everybody in the office knows that if they do something that is not correct or a mistake, own up to it, let's fix it, because I make more mistakes than anybody else, so I'd never judge anybody or be harsh on anybody for mistakes. So it's a safe place to work. I'm not going to yell at anybody. I'm not going to scream at anybody. So we work hard on creating the environment. When you come to our office, this is the insurance business. I joke sometimes that, if I could go into a bar, I'm handsome. I'm a good-looking guy. I'm just the right height. And if the two of us were to go into a bar together, he's at a disadvantage. He's not as good looking as I am. We go up to a pretty lady. If we go up to somebody who is pretty and said, hey, and he'd say, I'm in IT and I'm in marketing, and say, oh, that's so nice. And I'd say, I'm in insurance, to go, get away. Stay away. We don't want to talk to you. And I know that. And when customers come to our office, we know that it's worse than coming to a dentist's office. They think, oh, they're going to steal money out of my pocket. They're going to sell me something I don't need. So we want to make sure that people that come in to the office, they feel comfortable, they feel relaxed, they don't feel threatened. And I think it's the same for my staff as well, that they feel the same atmosphere in the office as well. And then if they don't produce the results, I just beat them with a stick.
That was the best way to end that answer, by the way. Awesome. Thank you so much, Declan. Guys, I'm gonna volunteer your time and say, okay, we got time. This is the last one, because she really wants to, and then.
Yeah, you were talking about your customers coming in to your offices to purchase insurance, and how it's not their favorite thing to do. How do you handle? I mean, Saskatoon has changed. We have many new Canadians that probably don't even understand, why you would need insurance. So is there some educating there that you have to do when those clients walk through the door, or when you make those cold calls, or whatever it is that you do to grow your customer base?
Well, we do. We do volunteer work with new immigrants. So we have put on sessions through, Jennifer, what's the name of the group again? Global Gathering. We do. Jennifer does sessions with Global Gathering, and I do. I'm an immigrant, and I know what it's like to come. But I didn't have the challenges that a lot of new immigrants have, because I speak a version of English. It's not quite English, but it's a version of English. And it can be difficult. But anybody who's ever bought insurance from us will notice a very distinct difference between our office and some other offices, and in that we spend a lot of time with our clients. We spend a lot of time trying to educate, explain, help them out. We're very, very aware of cultural differences around insurance and what insurance is, so we are very sensitive to that, and we take our time to explain it. We actually have 3 immigrants in our office. We've got a guy from Greece, we've got a lady from Vietnam, and myself from Ireland. So we're multicultural, and could be even more so, and Saskatchewan is changing, and I think it's changing for the better, and we can grow. We got lots of room and lots of space. It's a great city, and so we do whatever we can to help people understand. And something, lots of Canadians don't understand insurance. you know, and it's a big boogeyman of a thing that people, I'm compelled to buy it because the bank tells me I need to buy it, and I don't want to buy it. So we do spend a lot of time with our clients explaining as much as we possibly can about insurance. So.
Awesome. Great question. And again, thank you so much. You're going to be around for a little bit, right?
Tell Ken I said hello, Ken.
Yeah, I'm going to volunteer your time a little bit and say you stick around for a bit. So if you guys do have any more questions, feel free to come up and talk to him. And
I got some policies in my pocket to
yeah,
sell.
exactly. We'll be over by the bar trying to talk about insurance by the end of the night.
Yeah.
But thank you so much, Declan. Thanks for coming, man. It was great chatting with you. Can we give him a round of applause, everybody? Thank you so much, man.